Samuel Lucchino, July 15, 1885 to July 21, 1920. Samuel Lucchino was born on July 15, 1885 in Montalto, Sicily, Italy, when his father Tranquillo, or William, was 40 and his mother Pascalina, or Esther, was 32. In 1903, he immigrated to America at the age of 18 with his family and settled in Pittston, Luzerne Township, Pennsylvania. He married a young woman named Rosa, or Nellie, who was also born in Italy. He then became a member of the Pittston City Police Force, and he aided authorities in prosecuting a number of Black Hand cases. The Black Hand was an extortion racket run by immigrant Italians and Sicilians in Italian communities. Sam was an avowed enemy of this organization. The alleged leader was Charles Consagra, a wealthy contract miner. By 1911, Sam was made a lieutenant. On June 2nd of 1910, Sam, his brother Peter, and Steve Latour were charged with killing a man named Peter Salvaggio, who was found dead and headless in a cave in Pittston Township. They were charged on the words of Charles Consagra, but no evidence was found and they were released. Thereafter, 6 members of the Black Hand gang were charged with the murders. In early 1911, Sam was witness in New York against members of the Black Hand accused of counterfeiting. After he returned to Pittston on February 7th of 1911, he met with his brother and played pool at the Capitano. He left at 7:30 p.m. and stopped in a store where he chatted with the store owner and another fellow. He began to walk toward his home on East Railroad Street when he was approached by Charles Consagra and his brother Luigi and another fellow. Charles called him aside, and together they talked and walked up and down the street several times. Luigi approached them and asked Sam why he wasn't going home, and Charles told Luigi to just go home and that he'll be there shortly. Charles Consagra followed Sam home, walking with him, and as they neared the home, Sam turned around and saw Luigi behind him about 25 feet. When he turned back, Charles crossed from his left side to his right side, and Charles was left-handed. And suddenly Sam was shot. It is noted that his clothing and flesh were burned, and 2 bullets went all the way through his neck, but he was not unconscious, and he saw Charles running around looking for assistance after he'd shot him. People came and carried Sam into his house, and Charles went in after the doctor had been there. And then Charles came back the next day and told Sam that the Manerno brothers had shot him, although Sam had not seen anybody else besides Charles and Luigi there. Sam said that the moonlight was out that night and there was a light snow on the ground, and that he would have seen somebody within 200 yards or 200 feet of where he was and heard the snow crunching if they were walking. And he didn't see anyone else. However, 13 men were arrested and indicted by the grand jury, as Sam had said that they were conspiring to kill him. Those fellows were subsequently released, and Charles Consagra faced trial for the shooting of Sam. I looked and I could not find the results of that, but he must have gone free, because he was still out and about in the community. Sam recovered, and after a brave struggle was then protected by his brother and Steve Latour, and he kept loaded revolvers in readiness around the house. Sam had received further death threats because of his testimony. On March 3rd of 1911, he appeared at City Hall to testify at a hearing. When he got there, he had told the authorities that shots had been fired at his house the night before. Two cousins of Sam's, who were boarding in his home, had been followed home by two men, one dressed in women's clothing. They were skulking about the house, and one cousin got out a revolver and came outside into the yard. A man leapt from a corner near the coal shed and slashed at him with a razor, ripping his coat, and then he dashed away. The cousin and another man exchanged shots, but no one was hurt. On May 18th of 1911, Sam received a letter, written in Italian, indicating his house would be blown up and he would be killed. Written and illustrated in a red lead pencil with a picture of a house on fire with a grave or tomb with 3 crosses on it, the letter read, "Remember, my revenge soon, never forget." In August 1911, Sam and Rosa were eating breakfast when they heard 2 gunshots fired in rapid succession from the upper floor of the house. Sam immediately suspected vengeance from the Black Hand and grabbed a revolver and raced upstairs. There he was horrified to find his father, bleeding profusely from a bullet wound in his head, with a gun still in his hand. Tranquillo, age 70, had shot himself with one of the loaded revolvers in the house. He had miner's asthma and was depressed because he had declining health. He was transported to the hospital, but did not live long. 6 months later, in January 1912, Sam's mother, aged 59, was convicted of larceny or theft of clothing from the Union Credit Clothing Company of Pittston. She appeared before the judge with no counsel or legal protection, and the judge suspended sentencing and chastised Sam and his brother for not providing her with counsel. He stated he would not be lenient with her if she was caught again. In August 1916, Sam was transferred a liquor license, although nobody knew that he was expecting to go into the saloon business, and he, as far as I could tell, he never did. In December 1919, Sam was appointed city detective. On Wednesday night, July 21st, 1920, at 7 p.m., Sam reported to a sergeant that there were strangers in the city. The sergeant discovered there were 2 strangers, and he told Sam to search for them, and that he would see them later. At 8:30 p.m., Sam and a detective discussed the receipt of a Black Hand letter by a resident of Pittston, so the extortion was continuing by the Black Hand gang. At around 10:45, Detective Sam Lucchino, age 35, was shot and killed from ambush as he returned home at the end of his shift at 10:30 p.m. He was walking up the stone steps of his home, and his wife and daughter were standing at the front door waiting for him. Rosa said she saw Sam bid goodnight to the butcher at his shop across the street, and she heard a gunshot. She ran to Sam's side and was 15 feet away when she heard another gunshot. She was able to identify the 2 men involved in the shooting, and they were the strangers. He was taken to Pittston Hospital, where he died about an hour later. In the meantime, he was visited by the police chief, and he told him, "A stranger shot me, but it came through the hands of Charles Consagra." Sam was survived by his 26-year-old wife, 4-year-old daughter, 69-year-old mother, and siblings. Sam was well loved in the community, and over 6,000 people attended his funeral. He was held in high esteem by the majority of Italians in the upper end of the county who stood for law and order. He was buried in St. John the Evangelist Cemetery in Pittston, Pennsylvania. An investigation revealed that 2 men had been hired in New Jersey to murder Sam. Antonio Puntarelli and Peter Enrico, both from Trenton, New Jersey, were arrested, convicted of his murder in the first degree by judges and juries, and both died in the electric chair on September 23, 1922. In pronouncing the death sentence, Judge Fuller stated, "God forbid the day will ever come when capital punishment will not be meted out to the man who sheds, as you did, with black heart, the blood of a fellow man. The law destroys your body, but according to our faith, God still has mysterious power to save your souls, and I invoke on your behalf the divine influence." Later on, Peter Errico admitted that he had actually shot Sam. No one claimed the bodies, and they were buried outside the prison walls of the Western Penitentiary in Rockview, Benner Township, Pennsylvania. At the time of their arrest, both suspects said that a man named Ferdinand Rambola paid them $3,500 to kill Sam. They said that the money came from Charles Consagra. At the time of his death, Sam was investigating Charles, who was the contractor for illegal interference in the strike of 10,000 employees for the Pennsylvania Coal Company. Charles was arrested, charged with murder, but released 3 days later when a judge found insufficient evidence. Authorities then became suspicious when it was learned that Charles had recently been released from a federal prison after serving 5 years for counterfeiting, and it was Sam's investigation that had sent him to prison. In 1924, Charles Consagra disappeared, and his clothes were found alongside the shore of Lake Erie. It is believed that friends of the two executed men had killed him. Samuel Lucchino, July 15, 1885 to July 21, 1920. Gone, but not forgotten. As always, please be respectful in the comments, as there are descendants and relatives. And don't forget to like and subscribe.